everybody, this is Tony with Kate's Crafty Closet, and I have today the monthly color challenge over at Create at Home with G. Every month, myself, Gareth, Donna, Andrew, and Angie come up with a color combination, and we create a card, and you can be entered into a giveaway should you take the challenge and create a project and a card using this color combination. So February's color combination is black, blue, and silver. So I had and went and made this fun little card in honor of Valentine's Day coming up, and I wanted to go a little bit on the masculine side. So this is kind of what I came up with for you all today. So make sure you head on over to Gareth's group, which I'll link in the description box below, so you can join in the challenge and at the end of the month be entered into an amazing giveaway. So look forward to that. So let's go ahead and get ourselves started. This is going to be a standard A2 size card. So my base is some black cardstock, which is measured 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and this is a top folding card. You can do side folding or whatever your preference is, but I'm going to go ahead and use this. This is just 100-pound cardstock that I picked up at Michael's. So next thing it is, I went ahead and cut down my first panel, which is 4 inches by 5 1/4. So that gives me a 1/4 inch layer in between. And the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is stamp our plaid heart. And the plaid heart is a stamp set from Impression Obsession that I picked up at a local LSS store in Georgia when I was up there last year. So here it is. This one is called H20399 is the number on that, and it's just called Gingham Heart. So I'm going to pull out my stamping platform, and we're going to go ahead and stamp this on here. I'm going to put it up here in the corner since I kind of already have my sentiment on there ready for it. So I'm just going to make sure I put my magnet so it doesn't move on me. I do the best of my ability to get it centered where I want it to, and I think I'm okay with that. Okay, gonna pull my lid. I'm going to get probably a little bit of ink transfer on there, and I'm going to go ahead with this VersaFine Clair called Bluebell. This is a pigment ink, so it will stay a little bit wet until it dries or you heat set it. And I'm just going to lightly ink it because I'm looking for a little bit more of that worn, distressed look, as in like a plaid shirt that we wear. So I'm just like, I'm not going to do, I'm going to see how it looks. I'm like, I'm okay with that. I like that distressy look in that. So we're going to go ahead and pull that out because that is done. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. Ahead of time, I went ahead and used some black baker's twine, and I strung it through both sides of my button, which is just a blue button I had in my stash. And we're going to put that on the bottom. Basically what I do is I just take some arc glitter glue, which I squeeze a little bit out beforehand onto the side here, just so my button stays in place while I am putting the string onto the back. Which then the string on the back, we're just going to use some washi tape to hold it in place. I just use washi tape. That's not necessarily my favorite, or I'm just trying to get rid of it and use it up because it won't be seen on the card. So just going to go ahead and pull this over and pull this over, and then we can trim that off a little bit. So I'm going to take 2 pieces on both sides. I'm do one at a time actually. So I'm going to grab it there. I do it close to the edge so it doesn't have that loose fit to it that I have a pretty tight thing. So I'm going to put that one there. Then I'm going to come in with my scissors and trim that off. And then I'm going to trim that off. It's always best to have more than not enough, right? So here we go. And if the button didn't stick down, I'm okay with that. I can add more glue to it later if I want to, which I'll go ahead and do that as we speak. if my glue doesn't want to be clogged up on me, because it has a tendency to do that. I usually do it to the side because sometimes it wants to over squirt out. So I'm just going to do it like that. And I'm going to hold it down for a second, or glue to glue, that it holds and grabs on pretty tightly. So now that we got that done, I'm going to go ahead and use that same ink, and I'm going to use a little sponge, and I'm going to ink the edges just so it draws your eye in a little bit further into the card. So that's what we're going to do. So I have my little sponge. This is just a sponge that I got in a package a while back, so I might as well go ahead and use it. So I'm just going to lightly grab that and just go around those edges. And you can, like I said, this just helps to give a little bit more distressy look. And I'm kind of going in a little bit further than I did on the last card, because I want to give it a little bit more character and definition. That's kind of what I'm doing here. So there we go. And we're going to hit this with the heat tool, because like I said, that is pigment ink. So I don't want to do any smudging with my finger. So give me a second. This is just to make sure it's all dry. So we're going to be adding our sentiment on there shortly. Okay. So now that we got that done, we can go in and do a sentiment strip. I already cut down my little strip, and I'm going to use from this My Favorite Thing stamp set. It says I Heart You on it. This is an older stamp set, so I do believe this is retired. It's called Heart Balloons. So you may have that in your stash. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out my stamp positioner again. And like I said, I already have my sentiment in there. So I'm just going to put this into the corner. And I'm going to grab a magnet. And I have this Delicata pigment ink called White Shimmer. Because it's a pigment ink, it'll stay wet, so I can heat emboss on top of it. Because I don't know where my embossing ink is at the moment. So I'm just going to do that. And this you can, of course I went over a little bit too far. I cut it down too short. See, that's what happens when you miscalculate stuff, but that's okay, because we can fix that. We can just turn it over, and voila, there we have it. Next time, see, it's good always to leave your mistakes in here so you see how you can fix them. I'm just going to put that on, and I'm going to ink it up one more time. I have a little bit of stray on there from before, and I'm okay with that. Just kind of follows along the line of the distress look of our plaid heart, gingham heart. So I'm just going to do that. So I like the fact that this one I can see where it is actually, the sentiment really is. So I'm going to pull out some embossing powder. You can use whatever color you want. I'm using silver because that's part of the challenge that we are doing. So that's completely 100% up to you if you want to use a black or you want to use a blue embossing powder to go along with the color combination. You most certainly can, and I'm just trying to find where I put my embossing powder. Like, don't y'all love it when you lose stuff in your craft room that you literally just had a few seconds ago? So it's like, I thought I was going to lose my heat gun, but no, I have the heat gun. It's doing quite well. Don't want to lose that piece of it. I got everything else up here. I'm just trying to find out, where did I put? Up there it is. It got slid behind something. So I'm sorry about that. So good thing pigment ink gives you a moment to before it dries on you. So I'm just going to kind of tap that off. I'm going to have a little bit of strays going on in here, but I'm totally 100% okay with that. We put that to the side, bring in our heat tool, get it hot for about 15-20 seconds, and then we're just going to heat set it so it melts. kind of flying around everywhere. Alright, so that will work, and so got our silver going on in there. Let it dry, and then we'll put some foam squares on it. Bring back in our panel, see if we need to trim it up a little bit, and we will need to do that. And this just kind of rubbing that off. I'm gonna do the best that I can to trim and trim it. Then we have some foam squares. Well, I had some foam squares sitting over here, but they decided they want to jump ship too, but that's okay, because guess what? I always have tons of those sitting around somewhere in my crafty mess of a room, desk, and all of that fun stuff. So I'm going to put these on there, but I'm just going to have to trim it down. Take one of those bigger foam squares and trim it down in half. And we will put that on here. And then we'll have another one over here. Like I said, boom and boom. All right, there we go. And then the plaid actually gives you a little platform to put it on there straight. So there it is, I heart you. And then we're going to put the bigger foam squares all along the back of our card panel. I'm usually pretty generous with my foam squares because I don't want it to get ruined or smushed in the mail if that's where it's going. And what I usually do is peel off the release paper off the back of these, put down a little bit of that liquid art glitter glue, because it gives you a little bit of wiggle room in case, like me, I don't get things on the first time straight or where I want them to go. And so that helps alleviate a little bit of wiggle room. So we got that. Then we're gonna bring our card base in. I'm not gonna glue it down, but that pretty much right there completes our card. If you want to, you can add splatter of water and heat emboss that onto there and give it some silver splatter on there. That's completely 100% up to you. But that pretty much completes our card for today. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you go ahead and head over to Create at Home with G Facebook group if you want to be entered into the contest and post your projects in there. And you all have a crafty day, y'all.